Okay. Am I live? I'm using a 4K camera, which I hope is kind of working. Let's see here. Yeah, I hope this is working. Because I can see some disturbance on my live stream. I mean, is it working? It's working. Okay. So let's start with our first question. This comes from Ritika Bhora. In India, wait. This wasn't the first question. Hold on. Yes, okay, fine, that's fine. Ritika Bhora said in India becomes increasingly popular to get a perfect time to deliver a baby by C-section. They're trying to pre-plan what birth chart their child should have. What are your thoughts on it? Well, my thoughts on it is that they're still not choosing the birth chart for their child. They're not. If you think you are, I'm sorry, you're going to get a big surprise once you pass away and you go to the astral plane and you see what was happening. The baby already chose that I'm going to choose these parents, to go to these parents who are going to bring me at this particular time. So within your subconscious, you as parents chose the particular time that baby had already decided that these are my karmas, I have to be born here. So I'm going to come to you guys because even though you're doing C-section, you are going to help me pay my karmas out by coming at a particular time. So never think that you're choosing it. Okay? Never think you're choosing it. So that's how this works. Then, Divine Monk, can we talk about the blank chart predictions for Libra ascendant? It's especially because it's only upside down chart with everything opposite. Yeah, we can talk about it, but I mean, going over the whole chart, it's going to take a long time. But and then also other people have other type of ascendants. So, you know, for example, for a Libra, if like you just saw the Libra chart, right? And let's say you took the sign of Sagittarius. Sagittarius will go into the third house from Libra. And this is the trick. It's nothing, there's nothing complicated and advanced about these things. Okay, I figured it out in the last 2-3 years, not even 3-4 years. Is that Sagittarius is the original 9th house. What is the original 9th house? 9th house of the father, 9th house of the guru, 9th house of higher education, 9th house of religious and spiritual journeys. So, and there's many more significance to the 9th house. It's even publishing and writing. So one thing, first of all, you see third house then becomes the house of communication, our valor, our strength. What gives us the strength? So of course, father, and whenever you're down, you will see Libra people will always speak to their father. What should I do? Should I do this? If they have a mentor, they will talk to them because that is what gives them valor. They will always want to travel with their father to some place. They will always talk in a very philosophical terms. They will always bring some kind of a wisdom in their communication. Father will have to do travel in their life. They will have to travel to meet a guru, but also you will see with Libra person, whether it's in birth or Navamsha, they will love listening to gurus. Especially nowadays, you will see they love listening to gurus online, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Rumble, doesn't matter. They love listening to them because it's like their boost to their valor comes into play. younger sibling will have a very high education. Because it represents postgrad education, they themselves will have to travel to go for a postgrad education. Right? Look at Scorpio. If you have a Scorpio ascendant, Sagittarius will go into the second house. What does that mean? Somehow this person's income will be influenced by the father. Maybe what the father is doing that they will do. Sagittarius is again house of counseling, consulting, advising. Sagittarius also represents banking. So you will see Scorpio people, I've seen many a times, will go into things like accounting, banking, financial analyst, okay, and of course, even law. But it really is influenced by the father or person like the father who they consider their mentor. They will have, remember, second house is what you value. Second house is what you value. You will always value advice of your seniors, advice of somebody more educated than you. So your decision to earn money will always be by influence of somebody who you consider higher than you. Okay. But the thing is, yes, there are negative things that are meant to happen for each ascendant, which of course I don't want to discuss here. Again, I've said this to you guys, I don't want to become a hero saying things here. Okay. So, and also let's say Libra, right? The first and seventh is switched. So Aries is now in the seventh house. Your health depends upon your partner. You rely for your health and life decisions upon your partner. It also shows, because Libra is in the Lagna, okay, your life decision is going to be influenced by what the partner says. They get, and also because of Libra, they will always look for being influenced by the partner. They want a partner that they can rely on to make a decision. So this is why there's ups and downs that happens. You find yourself through your spouse. Libra people, you will see, they are very adamant about wanting to be in a relationship. You know why? Because they feel like they understand themselves better. They finally figure out who they are, what they're supposed to do. Why? Because Aries is the original Kal Purush sign of the first house, which is you. And Aries is Mars, which is energy. Your energy, your vitality, your understanding of who you are comes through your partner. This is why you will see Libra people from the young age want to be in a relationship, want to be dating, want to get married early. They're very, Libra or Aries is a very impulsive sign. So the impulsiveness goes to the seventh house. They want that thing quick. They want that thing now because everything depends upon it. Otherwise, they want to do something for society. Libra ascendant person will be like, I will not know who I am unless I do things for other people. Unless I'm married, unless I become married to society, unless I get married to a mass of people. Otherwise, there's no value to my existence. And I've made this Libra ascendant video of how many spiritual people have come out of Libra ascendant. Okay. And that is especially because if you look at the Prarabdha, becomes the sixth house, Pisces. The confusion comes in about their divinity, about who they are. And unless the position of Jupiter, how it's placed, either they can be diverted towards, only focusing on material things, sexual things, material desires, or they will simply go towards their spiritual desires, especially Jupiter is strong. And if the right dasha comes in. Then YouTuber, people always ask about activating certain planet or house or sign. But it is always beneficial for certain placement to be activated, or there are also any benefits of leaving planets unactivated. Yes, of course. It's a funny thing. Couple of years back, maybe 2018, I was talking to this one astrologer, in private, and we were talking about especially like Lal Kitab techniques. And they said how Lal Kitab techniques would activate one thing, it'll solve one thing, but then something else will spurt out. And I'm like, I remember when I was young, my mom used to put a silver ball in my pocket. And I'm like, anytime I'm walking and playing, suddenly I'm like going in my pocket. I'm like, what is this silver ball? And I would put it back, or I would just lose it. Then she'll put another one. I'm like, yeah, my mom used to do that. Then this person's like, she did that. Did you? Because I told them some of my placements. And then they're like, oh, did your father, or you got into some vehicle or car accident? I'm like, I remember my father and I were going on a scooter, and literally on a T-junction. Okay, remember T-junction, Leo. T-junction, he hit another scooter. The scooter fell, and we were uninjured. We just came out fine. But I clearly still remember people around us came and helped us. And he's like, that's it. Your mother was thinking she was doing one thing, and then it was spurting out something else. So yes, this is how these things work. And this is why it's very, very important to understand what remedies you're doing, what you're not doing. This is why I even said before too, I stay away from understanding or doing anything with Lal Kitab. But especially when it comes to, this is why I stick to techniques that even if you activate the other thing, it's not really harming in terms of doing something else. So it's a fine line. It's a fine line between, how to activate something, why you're activating it. And remember, the most important thing in remedy, which people completely ignore, is intentions. What is your intention? Like, let me tell you, like, I now when I think back, my mother was into astrology more than even I was. Whether she was going to my uncle all the time, who is an astrologer, whether she used to take me to, I remember like we used to live in People Mahadev in Old Delhi. And I remember she used to go to like Chandni Chowk, and we were going there, and she would like stop by. There was this, subconsciously, I still remember, there was this one little koti. Okay. And she would go there. There was this one old person, probably 50, 60 sitting. She used to talk about something. I'm like, what are they talking about? This and that. And he used to look into the paper. Then some other day she would go somewhere else. Maybe this is why subconsciously I started getting attracted to astrology, because you don't know how subconscious is working. But it was really my mother who's always like, my mother back in the days, I used to see her wearing a ruby, an emerald, and then a sapphire. And then my dad would be wearing all of these things. And I didn't understand why, what, but just do it. So yeah, she was definitely activating a whole lot of things. J. Ram Kumar Patnik, Lord Ganesh importance in astrology. See, Ganesha is the beginner of everything. It's the starter of everything, right? Whenever you do any puja, whenever you have any business, what do? You first do Ganesh's puja. Everything starts from Ganesha. So that's the importance. Now, the importance we really see of Ganesha in Vastu Shastra. That when you are trying to activate something, a certain direction, you'll put Ganesha there. Mainly we put Ganesh in Northeast in Vastu. Northeast is about ideas. It's your intelligence. And Ganesha is the one with the biggest head, the most intelligent. So what happens with Northeast Ganesha Okay, exactly northeast. Okay, many people make this mistake. Even when I'm giving them some remedies, they'll always put 10, 15 degrees on the side. And so, for example, let's say exact northeast will be around 35 degrees to 52 degrees. Okay, literally within that section from middle of your home. So this is why you have to first graph out the floor plan. You put Ganesha there, you will see, you start getting ideas about your work, about your business. Sometimes you will see people putting Ganesha in northwest for some time. Like some Vastu expert will suggest, put Ganesha here for maybe 3 days, 4 days a week, and then put it back. Why are they saying this? Northwest is about getting banking support, right? You're about to buy a home, you're about to buy a car. Not all of us have ability to just pay cash. My cars are financed. So what happens is when you put Ganesha there for a while, it starts your ability to gain that access to the loan. Once you get it, you put it back in northeast. This is how these tips and tricks work. So always use Ganesh as the starting point to things. Even in Jyotish, you will praise to Ganesh before you go into anything else. So can you please shed some light? So Himesh Trunga Truti, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Can you please shed some light on problems or happiness through children, possible combination for that, or nakshatras? Well, first of all, I will not give any possible combinations online, because what happens then, some people will become fearful without ever knowing that a whole chart has to be looked at. Someone's Bija Saputa, Kesha Saput has to be looked at. Saptamsha has to be looked at. Badha of the 5th house has to be looked at. But if, let's say, what happens is this. For example, you're trying to conceive children. Simple thing is, when you're trying to conceive children, okay, don't ever eat right before you're trying to conceive children. Your ojas is at the lowest point, right? Some days you'll be like, let me take my boyfriend, girlfriend out on a date, or my wife out on there, and then we'll have our good time, right? So you're going to the restaurant, you're eating that heavy meal, you're eating that paneer makhani or that mutton, heavy naan, then gulab jamun, then burfi. Oh man, this is making me hungry. All right, I gotta hurry up with this. But you go there, you come back, and then you try to conceive a child. What happens is, conceiving something is 2 houses, right? 7th house and 12th house. 7th house, so 5th house is the original sign of Leo, which is Sun. Sun becomes debilitated 3rd from itself, which is the 7th house. Right? So it loses itself when you are trying to do things related to partnerships. Sun is this one thing. Sun is this one strong entity that creates everything. So first of all, the creator has to go to its lowest form to perform certain task or duty. Sun does not like that. Sun is like, I want to be busy doing important things than engaging in this. But then the original 5th lord is becoming debilitated, and 5th house is the stomach, right? It's this area. Okay, astrology becomes very simple. Whenever you try, use techniques of these, so problems with that. Now, if you want to talk about problems with having children, well, I'm not going to discuss that here. If your children are going to turn against you, I'm not going to discuss that here. You know why? Because I don't want now some parents to think that, oh, my child is not going to be, taking care of me. Okay, I'm not going to be paying so much attention to my children anymore. And if I do that by me saying this, then you will not perform your karma, the debt that you owe to your children of taking care of them, or to paying their debts off, or to paying for their school. This is why when I do pending karma readings, I don't say all of these things are, well, you're going to have your children are going to take over your property and leave you homeless. I'm like, you have to pay this debt off. I'm like, I'm just saying that this is what you need to do. Doesn't matter what the children is doing. Children could be your enemy from past life. Children could be your father from last life. Your child could be your spouse from past life. You have to take care of that debt that you owe them. This is the reason why. Remember, everybody talks about past life connections. Is my spouse my past life connection or not? Well, first of all, you will not have any relation in your life unless you had a past life connection with them. So don't ever think like, oh, well, Ketu is with Venus, or their moon is upon my moon, and so now it's a past life connection. No. Whoever you're with is your past life connection. You don't need astrology for that. You don't need any technique for that. Whether it's your parents, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your third spouse, whether it's your fourth child, there is a past life connection. This is why they're coming to you, so they can either give you something that they owe you, or you owe them something, which we of course see through the pending karma. Okay. Then man, some of these questions you guys ask, I would love to answer. Like for example, Gauri said, what indicates a chart being an only child? Can it be visible to see the parents divorce in a chart? Yes and yes. Don't just focus on your birth chart of 3rd and 11th house, especially the 3rd house, because if you have a child, that means that's the first child. Okay. Then we look at the Patha of the 3rd lord. But we also look at especially the Dreshkan, the D3 chart. There are certain techniques that especially works beautifully given by Sanjay Rath. Pandit Sanjay Rath, excellent astrologer, and his techniques work. I've tested those techniques. They work extremely well. Let me see if I can show you guys his book. It is in that book. Where is it? Oh my God, it's gonna take me, I have so many books. I have another shelf. I have to, but his techniques are very, very, very profound in terms of like looking at if the child is gonna have a sibling, okay? Or if the mother or father will have the second child. But sibling wise, yes, there are techniques of the Padha, how the Padha lands, and the Dreshkan chart, and the placement of it's not just looking at the Dreshkan chart, the D3 chart. You look at certain placement from that chart to the ascendant, and from the ascendant to that chart, and you see the relationship with them. That shows you siblings or not. But again, these things cannot be discussed here, because if I was to say, well, Patha of this here, people will be like, oh my God, I'm only going to have one child, or my child is not going to have any siblings. Who am I to say this right now? I'm not. This is why it's a fine line between what I do every day. So then there is the question by Lick Wolf. Attended a brief Vastu course. Learned we shouldn't design 100% Vastu for a house. living space as its limits only for temples to be 100% Vastu compliant. If that can be designed, your take on this? I am pretty sure there are certain rules and regulations. Because here's the thing, especially in temples, the Vastu Purusha is awakened. Okay, so here's the main reason why they're telling you not to do this at home. In a temple, before the temple is built, I don't know how temples are built now, but back in the days, they awakened the Vastu Purusha first. But once you've awakened the Vastu Purusha by doing those pujas on the ground, doing those rituals, now you have to feed the Vastu Purusha every day. You have to take care of Vastu Purusha every day. You have to praise the Vastu Purusha every day. Can you do that? What if one day you're sick, you have to take care of your children, you have to go to some place and you're not taking care of them? In a temple, there's always going to be a priest. This is why they said, yes, don't do everything 100%. The main thing is this particular thing. And especially like, for example, when you activate certain murmur points, like I see, I'm not in my other office, but I don't know, can I draw this here? Let me see if I can take, no, not here. Okay, here, I'll show you guys here. So, and this is just a quick drawing. So this is the plot. Okay. If this is the plot, can you guys hear? Let me, actually, I like this new camera because now I can. Let's see. And let's go 16. Let's go 20. Okay. So if you look here, this is the plot, right? Forget where, let's just say the main door is here. That's the main door. Okay, I think the exposure is a little too much. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. So then if this is the plot, let's say this is north, this is south, this is west, this is east, right? So then you have like these 36 devtas. The murmur point, first line would be here. The intersecting point, which is the Brahmastan, the middle, becomes the first murmur point. Then you'll have from one devta here to the other, one devta to the other. That's the murmur point. Then you'll have one point here, one point here. These become 9 murmur points. Okay, so having certain things here which we can't avoid living in the city, these murmur points starts giving out certain different type of energy within the home. So then there has to be certain remedies that either are performed to kind of unlink that murmur point and free that murmur. Murmur points are supposed to be free, but none of us have it. Okay, none of us have it. So in the temple, you know, these murmur points will not be there. But also upon these murmur points, there's an energy spewing out. When you do rituals on those energies, this is why the temple has this cosmic energy within it. Because not only the Vastu Purusha is being fed, but the murmur points themselves are being worshipped and taken care of. They're like the children of Brahma. Okay. I can go into more details on this, but it's like it's no use, because what are you going to do if you have an apartment? You're going to tear down the apartment to make space in the middle? No. That's why even if I do, let's say, my Vastu course, I'm not going to be going deep into this unless I'm just talking to some multimillionaire. If you're a multimillionaire and billionaire, yes, you can do 100% Vastu then. Because then you have all the things. You can have a Pandit come in every day and take care of the Vastu Purusha in the home, and you'll flourish. But yes, there's a reason why just like even 50% Vastu will go a long way, because Vastu is connected with our birth chart. Doing when certain planets, so for example, Mars is in a very difficult condition in the birth chart. That means you will only pick apartments and home where the southern direction will not be in the best of position to give you the result. So the Vastu expert then comes in and says, do this here, and then do this here, and this balances out your Mars. And then now this is the philosophical question that comes in, that was this person destined to get a Vastu reading from someone? Maybe the Mars is in such a strength that they will be able to get a Vastu consultant to come in and rectify their Mars, because perhaps they just paid some pending karma of that Mars off naturally. See, I always say you don't need a pending karma reading to know pending karma. You are going to do these things. These things happen in people's lives. And so you performing that does something else. But yes, not 100% of this population will take any Vastu consultancy, because this is where that ignorance comes in. They'll be like, oh my God, these things are like such bogus. Like if some friend says to another friend, oh yeah, I just had a Vastu consultant come in that did this, and it's like, oh my God, man, I just lost respect for you. How can you fall for all these scams? What is wrong with you? You see that? So certain people are meant to be in certain ignorance to not understand these other worldly energies. For example, okay, coffee. You will see many gurus, they hate astrologers. They don't like astrologers. Spiritual gurus, they always say ignore astrologers. And it's not because of the fact, that astrology is bad. They themselves know exactly what the planets are doing. They'll never discuss it. This is why when guru is at a certain point, they don't even need to know about astrology. They look at you, they know exactly how many children you have, what happened to your mother, what happened to your father. But the reason why they do this, because there's so much of these scams that happen where a person end up spending lakhs of rupees for some yagna, havan, or some gemstones they recommend, or something that this is why you never find me selling some remedy like, oh, buy this from me, buy that. I say, this is it, what you can do, you go do it. I don't care. So this is so they understand how much sometimes it's good to be ignorant and not fall for these things than to fall into the wrong hands for these things. But astrology is something, and this was actually a question too. I remember, like, why do some spiritual gurus don't like astrology? This is the reason why. And it's okay. They're trying to help you to go even beyond your planets. Why not? If you go beyond your planets, nobody needs to learn anything about Jyotish, astrology, nothing, because that automatically it'll come to you and it's not going to be affecting you. This is why Kriya Yoga. Sri Yukteswar said, you do Kriya Yoga, you go beyond the transits. Planets will not then affect you after a certain point. This is why get initiated into Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga will enhance everything. If you're a physicist, you'll see, if you do Kriya Yoga, your knowledge of physics will go beyond any other person. Because what happens is when you start to do the Kriya Yoga and it's activating slowly certain chakras, those chakras are like high definition signal to the astral world, where you'll find Shiva Agamas, where you will find what do you call Akashic records. Akashic records will have the knowledge that is supposed to come 5,000 years from now. Some knowledge of physics, some knowledge of mathematics, you're now gaining that. This is how Ramanujan did. Who was Ramanujan? Ramanujan was an intelligent person, but how did he get his theory of infinity? It's through Saraswati, a Devi. Not Saraswati, it was some Devi that came in his dreams and said, and they did in the astral plane, they did calculations together. I think it was Saraswati, because she is the goddess of knowledge. Okay. So then Sacred Earth Company, it would seem that as soon as you become aware of Rahu in your life, you cannot successfully ignore him. Suggestion for physically offering to appease, balance one's Rahu. Well, just make a movie on Rahu. Appreciate him. See, like I made a movie. Look, I'm appreciating Rahu. But yes, I mean, once you go into astrology, everything becomes active. Once you are aware of astrology, nakshatras become active. Every day, then you start to become, nakshatras then say, hey, look, I'm going to show you this now. If you're an astrologer, I'm going to show you this. Before, one of my uncles, who's not my uncle in India, my uncle here, who's a big follower of J. Krishnamurti and Buddhism, we always talk. So he got into, before he wasn't into astrology. But after he realized that, there's something to these things and we are just too ignorant. So he started talking to me. So I started to talk to him about nakshatras. And look, this is what's going to happen today. Like one time he called me and I just was looking at the prashna. He said, what's going on in astrology today? I'm like, okay, well, were you just talking to somebody about wedding or marriage? He's like, yeah, I was on phone with my mom talking about my cousin's wedding. How did you know? I'm like, prashna. And so then I'm like, so he said, so tomorrow notice this. If this happens. Tomorrow notice that, or the day after that, this happens. You know how? Because when I was looking at the prashna, that it becomes the current time. The lagna is now. The lagna is today. Or you can even go by lagna being this year. All I did was I made second lord, okay? Second lord the lagna at that particular time. That means it became the next day. So then I started talking to him about, okay, so tomorrow you will notice this. Because from that particular prashna, sun was in that particular house. That means at that particular time when sun is in that particular house, this thing can happen. So this is how I started showing him and teaching him. So now when he's aware of certain things, he starts noticing those things. Before it was happening, but there was no awareness of it. But once you become aware of Rahu, become aware of this, then they actually start helping you and showing you. And one of the most important things about this is to actually do the mantras of the planets. Meaning, like, for example, you have within 40-day period, you need to do each planetary mantras. 6,000 mantras for, let's say, sun. The most difficult is Venus. I think it's 20,000 mantras in 40 days. You have to do the malas. When you do complete all of these things, you'll start to see you probably don't even need to read another Jyotish book in your life. You just start connecting things. And I'm not going to say I'm there at this point, but I do feel it. I do feel it. Most important thing is start with the sun. Sun mantras, then moon, okay? Then you do other planets. Because these are the luminaries. These are the reason why Jyotish exists. These are the eye of the Veda. Remember, eye of the Veda. Eye of the Veda is sun and moon. Right eye and left eye. If you don't activate this and you start with Shukra, that's not really illuminating anything. You start with the illumination of these two grahas. So if you want to do that, yeah, you go through sun all the way to Rahu and Ketu, and the Rahu mantras and activation will actually balances out that energy. But you have to activate the king and the queen, sun and moon. So they can also protect that. So then Sahiba Sharma, can you talk about the concept of Bhavatam? Are Bhavatam planets as strong as Vargothama planets? No. There's especially significance of Vargothama, meaning a planet is in the same sign in the birth and Navamsha, or birth and Dasamsha, birth and Sastiyamsha. You can go towards any individual chart. Vimsamsa. So your planet then becomes Vargothama, meaning it becomes actually so strong, it's even better than even exalted. And remember, last time I gave you guys example of certain political figures, even CEO of YouTube, Susan Wojcicki. who has a debilitated Saturn in the birth chart, Navamsha and Dasamsha. Saturn is now above exaltation. This is why she's in the position she is. And so Bhavottamam, I'm simply, you have Sun in the 10th house, okay, in Leo, and you have Sun in the sign of, let's say, Aries, in the Navamsha. I don't know if it's going to fall into Aries, but let's say just in the 10th house in some other sign. That's Bhavottam. That does not give any strength. Because if, let's say, Sun is exalted in the 10th house of your birth chart, debilitated in Navamsha in the 10th house, so it's not like it's giving strength. All it's having is this directional strength. Or Sun goes into the 11th house in Taurus, ends up in Gemini in the 11th house, or ends up in some other air sign in the Navamsha. That's Bhavottam. No, it's not providing any kind of like a strength or special significance. At least not in real world tests. Some book may say something, but in real world test, no. Alana Roberts, if a planet receives no aspect from other planets, what effect does that isolation have? Actually, it's better for your planet to not receive aspects from planets, whether it's benefic or malefic, because then the planet is focused on its own mission. Then that planet does not lose because it's like you're taking a chance with the aspect. Is the aspect going to be more damaging, or aspect's going to be more beneficial? So when you don't have either one, at least you don't have to worry about what other house significance is coming upon the planet. So planet lets it just by itself. Okay, so then it's just giving its own significance. What it's doing in your 10th house and the house that it's ruling in the 10th house. Other planetary aspect of malefic and benefic, now you're dealing with 5, 6, 10 other different aspects that you're going to be dealing with in this particular time. So that's all it is. Shiva Ganesha, please talk about Mercury, Saturn, and Jupiter conjunction in 3rd house of Bhava chart. What is Bhava chart? So you mean just normal chart? See, Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn conjunction actually makes a person a very good discernment of things. They judge everything in a very detailed manner, in a very profound manner. They become great judges. So especially in the 3rd house, this person can make a great movie critic. They make lawyers. Okay, and especially shows great success comes in through help of mentors, teachers, and the more higher education they attain, the more success it happens. Why? Because originally from Aries, Sun, Saturn, and Jupiter rule the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th house. All the houses related to your education and career. So 9th and 10th Lord are originally now conjunct regardless of the sign. Mercury, which is intelligence, and 3rd and 6th Lord competition, dealing with enemies, competition, 3rd house of valor, 3rd house of even siblings, communication is now with them. This is why we see that they do very well in fighting for other people, very well in writing, publishing, very well in dealing with making great authorities in government even. But these 3 planets shows that you cannot swindle this person and convince them to do something. Unless, of course, it's in Gemini, then they could be influenced, but they will only be influenced by a few amount of people. But in the 3rd house, if let's say they're in a earth sign, these people you cannot convince these people to change their mind towards something. And especially their material wealth comes in through Updesh, through writing, through teaching, through counseling. Because that is the 3rd house. 3rd house is the house of Updesh. I mean, we're going to go through more things with these things. But like I said, can't discuss everything here. Kajol Reddy, is there a possibility that sometimes your own family influence can ruin your life, especially your mother? What are your thoughts on it? Of course. How is your second house? How is your fourth house? How is your fourth from the moon? Because not everybody's going to have the family that is going to give you the right path in life. Okay? There are many children who are abused. There are many father, mother, they leave, they become drug addicts, and here's a child roaming from one foster care to another. So of course that happens. More combinations for it? There's many combinations for it. It'll take 3 hours to discuss these things. Vivek Vora, we have heard a lot about foreign settlements and wanting to go aboard, but what about someone wanting to go back to birthplace? Can we use nakshatra, animals, drawing techniques, or something else? First of all, you will see usually retrograde planets, fourth lord being retrograde, fourth lord from the moon especially being retrograde, will give this desire to go back, wanting to go back to one's own place. Your pada of the fourth ends up in the ascendant or in just in the fourth house, meaning fourth lord is in the fourth house. It shows that one heart is belonging to their own home place. And sometimes it may not be permanent, it could be temporary, meaning the dasha comes in, you were in foreign lands, you didn't have a permanent visa for that place. A dasha comes in that now shows that the mind and heart are all towards wanting to go back home. So you go back home for that particular period. And then when the new dasha comes in, you go back again. Because now your consciousness changes. So what you're saying right now, most likely it's the dasha that probably just started and you're feeling that I need to go back home. I need to be with my own homeland. Dasha changes, you'll go back out again. But I've seen a lot of times retrograde planets will show desire to go back. With certain influence, you may be forced to go back. So it's not just your own desire, you would be forced to go back. So let's see here. So wait, what is this question? Oh, okay. So Jupiter men are what women actually want and end up getting. Then what do men actually want to, what do men actually want and end up getting? Simple. Men want Venus. Even women will want Venus. Okay. But what you end up getting is the seventh from Venus. And it's a multi-dimensional thing. You will get your Venus where your sign is. The personality of the spouse will be seventh from Venus. The sign that is there and the nakshatra that has that cusp of the Venus's degree. That's what you end up getting. Then, of course, don't forget about Dharakarka. Seventh house represents your attitude towards the marriage. And then Dharakarka will also signify who your spouse is going to be. And there's no contradiction. You can't say, well, Dharakarka says this, and then my seventh from Venus says this, and my Venus is saying this. Seventh house is saying this. Which one is it? No, they are all. Okay, they're all going to bring different facets things. I'm not just, for my wife, as her husband, I'm not just her Jupiter. I'm not just somebody who teaches and counsels. I'm also somebody who entertains. I'm also somebody who loves sports. I'm also somebody who loves spirituality. I'm also somebody who loves being isolated, who doesn't want to interact with people. Yeah, talk about that. I don't. This is so you can see all of those things from my spouse's chart. So it's not just one straight answer, but yeah, if you wanted to know that, is that answer I gave you with Venus. So what does Ketu in Uppapada Lagna means? Number one main thing it means blessings of Ganesha. Marriage is going to survive on spiritual quests. You cannot go towards material things only with marriage. You have to focus on developing your spiritual self. That's the challenge that becomes. If you do your spiritual sadhana, and especially if you have Ketu in the Lagna from Uppapada, always have Ganesha in the northeast direction of your home, especially the degrees that I mentioned. And that will start blessing you with your chart. And also in Southwest, make sure there's no dominating red color, blue color, or green color. And especially in Southwest, put a brass statue of Nandi the bull. Brass statue of Nandi the bull. And also make sure there's no plants in Southwest either. But yeah, that's the simple thing is you don't even have to do anything with Southwest, although you should, if it's not in the right condition. But if you don't do spiritual sadhanas, if you don't do meditations together, if you, the one who has Ketu in the Lagna, does not develop any spiritual gratification, then the marriage is, is going to feel empty. Wait, since every planet represents one or more close family member, Koshika Pandey said, since every planet represents one or more close family members, is it possible to ruin or better one's relationship with those family members by ruining or bettering relationship with them? Yes, that is actually the whole point. That these are the biggest remedies, but we can't do it. Our ego won't allow us to do it. If, let's say, you're born in the daytime before sunset, see between Sun and Venus which one is strong, because that would represent your father mainly. But father is also the karka. Father is also the karka of the father. So one thing you will see, people who are born in daytime, whose Venus is good, Sun is not good. After marriage, the relationship with the father becomes better. But if you purposefully go and improve the relationship with the father, you improve your son. You're born at night, in the evening, between Saturn and Sun, whichever one is strong becomes the father. That means if you take care of old sick people in the family or help people, especially like nursing homes, old people who need sustenance and food, that will naturally improve their relationship with the father. Okay. And of course, just again, go towards the karka, the father, improve relationship with the father. But especially with Saturn at night shows that only when one's career established will the relationship improve with the father. So because as a child, if 6-7-year-old child does not have a good relationship with the father, has an abusive relationship, what do they know about donations? What do they know about helping a sick person. That's the problem. So unless the mother knows these things, or vice versa, then they can say, okay, let me somehow help my child and my husband improve relationship amongst each other. You will take your child to some place, give them money, okay, give it to them, donate money to them, or do this and do that, help people with their profession. Then these things improve. Okay. Why Venus the father? What is Venus? What is Venus? Venus is sperm. Sperm comes through the father. Sperm has your paternal genetic code. Sperm has your paternal genetic code in it. Like, for example, we look at Rahu as paternal grandfather, Ketu as maternal grandfather. Then we take Sun as the lineage. Some people take Venus as the lineage. Some people will then take Mars as the lineage. Okay, right? Because Mars is blood. But Venus, the genetic code, how is it? You're not created from blood. The blood doesn't pass through. It is the sperm, the semen that passes through. So Venus is the father and the genetic lineage and code of the father. The blessings and curses of the lineage comes through the genetic code. Okay, it comes through the genetic code. So Venus becomes the father, and especially in daytime, because the sun is up. So it's going to be connected with the father. At night, I believe it's either Uttarkal Mrit, or I guess it's Bharat Jatak, where it said that at night, Saturn would become the father, between which whenever is strong Sun or Saturn. Okay. Then there is have heard about astrologers or Vastu consultant acquiring karmas after certain readings, or choosing not to comment on certain aspect. Have seen this in your website shop too. Would be helpful if you can elaborate on this. Mainly, how do we find out our chart allows us to give a consultation? No. It's not if your chart allows you to give a consultation. Yes, if you look, and I've said this before too. I think I said this in 2019, I remember. No, 2020. I clearly remember saying this with a video I made at my cabin. That especially whenever Saturn aspects the second house, Saturn is sitting in the second house, never make malefic predictions for people, no matter how much of a hero you think you're going to become, because that is going to boomerang. Saturn is the heavy dose of karma. Second house represents speech. It's our Vak Siddhi. Okay? Even the Vak Siddhi is represented with Pushya and Jupiter, but it represents the energy of your speech. Saturn is there judging your speech. When you make negative predictions for people, now Saturn's like, okay, well, now I'm going to have to store this karma. Second house is what you're valuing, right? And storage, it's your bank account. But the more you give positive things to people, giving positive techniques to people, the more you will rise. Saturn, especially in the second house, or influencing the second house, and especially your eighth lord, being in a strong position, or being in a weak position, definitely do not show off about your astrological knowledge, or don't make any negative predictions about that. But the main thing is, regardless of what your placement is, when somebody either ends a consultation with you on Zoom, listens to your consultation, walks away from your office, they should be walking out with some sort of confidence and happiness. So when you see somebody comes, like I read so many books of Kapiel Raaj, where he discusses that I kept pressing on this person's career while they wanted to know about their spouse's health. He said, I saw what was going to happen with the spouse. And I kept going back to their career. And I gave them some mantras for their spouse to do. But I kept my emphasis on their life more than theirs. So they were happy and they walked out. Now what happens? Whatever's meant to happen. So you see, you can't be, if somebody comes up with their spouse or child's health, say, can you please look at a chart? And you know the technique. You are a superhuman astrologer. You know the technique, what is happening. Don't go like, oh yeah, the child's not going to survive. Oh, now you have created a blunder. I don't care what yaganas you do, how many body purifications you do in the morning. That thing is now stored heavily for the next life, or even just this life. Depending upon what your lagna is, do you know certain ascendant reap the results within this life when you do some karma, when you do some negative things. So don't try to show. This is why even in my academy, I have not shown certain very, very negative things, like no marriage and no children and this, because even those people who are students learning these things, they're still not realized yogis and masters who can just know the worst and they'll still be happy. Even as astrologers, we still have families, we have children, we have mothers and fathers. When we learn something and we're like, oh my God, a young astrologer, 25-year-old, 27-year-old, madly in love with their wife, learning astrology from me or someone else, find out because of this displacement, spouse only survives for this much after, or marriage only survives for this long, because your spouse will cheat you and will run away with their guru or teacher. Now imagine what they will go through if they're not spiritually developed, because they're thinking this is all fun and entertainment where they can learn astrology. But once something hits you into the heart, you better be prepared consciously to take it. Okay, this is why my videos are not about those yearly transit, weekly transit, because I can use Sarvobhadra Chakra and Ashtakvarga and give amazing things. Like I even talked about the border wars in February, right? And in my Sarvobhadra Chakra, I said some enemy will come on Thursday if Saturn is sitting here. What happened? On a Thursday, Russia attacked Ukraine. Right within that month, that 15-day period that I said, the first half or second half of February. But see, you can't do this with regular people on YouTube, because then you're incurring this mass karma. Unless you have something positive to say, besides the negative, only then you should. So yeah, there are these thin, fine, microscopic lines that I have to deal with every day. Gary G. How can you bring a little Agni in your chart if you don't have this element? Simple. You can either do yaganas every day, because that is Agni, or especially, in your home. But again, I'm not going to suggest this because I don't know your chart. I don't know what your Mars is and your Sun is. But in southern direction, which is an element of fire, southeast, which is also fire, you can put certain elements that activates the heat. But I cannot give it here, because if your Mars, first of all, if your southern direction is extended, then you can even waste more of your energy, okay, if you put these elements there. And if it's cut off, then it will make you definitely very lazy in terms of your vitality. And if it's cut off, then it has to be balanced, both cut off and extensions. Cutoff will definitely give you lack of fire, meaning lack of motivation. Extension in that southern side will waste your pitta, will waste your agni because it's extended. And you putting these elements and remedies there, well, that's just going to aggravate that situation more. So either it's going to have to be balanced with the color, if it's extended, if it's cut off, then with some picture or some element. But just doing that, you don't have to do anything on your own. And especially also pranayam, breathing. Again, especially like if you don't have any fire, doing Kriya Yoga activates your fire because you have to work on certain chakras, right? So these are some of the things, but best one I've found is this Vastu. But again, you can't give one remedy for every single chart, especially when it comes to extension or activating some fire, water. Sometimes you may not activate water. You shouldn't activate water, depending upon how Venus is in your chart. Let's see. So Sim says, please explain the buying shoes with different colors for different nakshatras. So if, let's say, you have a planet between 28 degrees or 29 degrees of Libra to 10 degrees of, to 28 degrees of Virgo to 10 degrees of Libra, especially. And if, let's say, your sign of Libra of Virgo control good houses, and you have a planet that is sitting in that good condition, and if, let's say, in your Vrshafal, certain planets are not transiting in a certain position, then buying shoes become very good in activating that house. So let's say Mercury is in the 10th house in Libra. So Mercury now rules the good house, 9th house, in the 10th house in Libra. Mercury being the Karka of the 10th house. Buying green shoes for work before you start your work, or you say go for your interview, it'll help you activate getting that job and that recognition at work. And knowing how your Vrshafal is, you can literally buy every 6 months, just buy green pair of shoes. You have Mars in a good condition, somewhere in Libra or at that end point of Virgo, where that Yoga Tara of Swati is. Then buying red color shoes becomes great. So you just take the planets and colors. Jupiter will be yellow and golden, right? Saturn will be blue or black. Rahu will be black. Ketu will be like grayish. Venus and Moon will be, well, Moon will be more of pearl white. Venus will be like milk white color shoes. Because shoes is, but then you, again, this is something you will notice. Whenever you buy shoes, you always activate something. Like one thing I know, that whenever I buy shoes, I'll travel. Long distance travel. This is why I'm sometimes when I don't want to travel, I'm like, I don't want to buy shoes. I'll tell my wife to buy shoes for me. So that's what happened. Jayesh Patel, say more about Saturn in Anuradha Nakshatra. Keep the plumbing in the home in good condition. Your career will be in good condition. Take care of any foundational issues. Your career will improve. Like even if, let's say, your foundation is intact, but you can see the paint is coming off and all that, just repaint that foundation. It will enhance your career. Once a year, maybe have a plumber look at things around the house. This will make Shani aware that you're taking care of your plumbing pipelines. This will improve your Shani. Just like you will see, if Venus and Saturn are in Uttarashada Nakshatra, you should always go to a dentist and take care of your teeth. Get your teeth cleaned. every year, every 6 months, whatever the time frame is, you'll see wealth and luxury coming. It's that simple. Door. Okay, so is it problematic for an inner door to be south facing while opening into hallway? I have no idea what that means. A door is either going to open inwards or outwards. Doesn't matter. And it doesn't even matter if it's in southern direction, because what if your fourth house has strong connection of Mars? South will be great. The only problem that becomes when we look at 36 devtas, okay, of Vastu, the southern direction have the least amount of good devtas. So if you take, southern direction divided by 9, there's only like one good placement. And then another one is also an okay placement of where the door is. That is why southern can give you huge gains just where the door is. And if the door is in the wrong place, then again, you can do certain Vastu remedies to kind of like balance that door. Okay. So then the question is, when wearing, so this is from Deep Fraz, when wearing jewelry such as ring, does wearing a ring on a particular finger activate certain karmas or energies? Yes, it'll activate certain planetary karmas for sure. Like, for example, although you can't put anything on this side, this is Venus, this is Mars, this is Jupiter, this is Saturn, this is Sun, this is Moon and Mercury. Okay. So each nadi is connected with a chakra system. When you put something that, this is why actually, if you have a wristwatch, if you were to wear it on the right, this can actually help you activate your intuition and even your Jyotish nadi. Also, Jyotish nadi is simply Shushumna nadi. If your Shushumna nadi is open, you don't need any books anymore. You look at the chart, you'll just know everything. But wearing something on the right hand becomes very good. So especially if it's like tight enough, you will see it naturally starts awakening your intuitive nadi of intuition and insights. But see, since I'm focusing on Kriya Yoga, I'm not worried about, I have something on the right or left. It's more comfortable for me to wear on the left. Because remember, my mouse is always here. I'm sitting here and I'm working. My mouse is always here. And so I'll have this thing hit me, this thing, or if I wear a watch, it's annoying. Stephen Stones, please explain planetary combinations for getting married with a foreign spouse. Simple. If your 7th lord is with Rahu, okay. 7th from Venus is with Rahu. Rahu is with Venus. Pada of the 7th lord lands in the 12th house or 11th house. Take Rahu's placement in the 7th house, 7th lord being in the 12th house, 12th lord conjunct the 7th lord, 9th lord also conjunct the 7th lord. Take the ascendant of your birth chart, whatever your ascendant is of the birth chart. Put that exact ascendant in the Navamsha. Use that as the ascendant. If Rahu lands in the 7th, spouse will be foreign or a different culture, different ethnic background. Okay. From Uppapada, Rahu goes in Lagna. Or even Rahu goes in the 7th, foreign spouse, foreign connection will be there. So there's many of these particular themes. But see, you gotta understand, sometimes like in India too, marrying somebody of a different caste becomes a foreign thing. I don't get that. Both you, if somebody is a Sharma, Varma, somebody is a Gupta, both of you go to temple. Both of you love Ram or Krishna or Shiva. Yet the parents will not do it because one is the caste, the other is a Banya. The caste system. I don't get this idiotic insanity of our culture sometimes. I don't get this. It's still like you both are doing the same thing. They celebrate Diwali, you celebrate Diwali. They celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi, you celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi. Yet there is a problem, but yet that is considered as a foreign spouse. Because I've seen that. My spouse is of a different caste. I know my Rahu's. I'm like, no, it's just a different last name. Oh my God. Let's see. So Kiran Kumar explain about the extraordinary career in society. Like, for example, it is said that people who have 8th Lord in the 10th house or 8th Lord connection to the 10th or vice versa is said to have extraordinary career. Yes, that is very true. Why? What is 8th house? 8th house is longevity. Everybody wants to live forever. Everybody wants to be remembered forever. That particular house, because 8th house is legacy. Okay? 8th Lord of legacy is connected with the 10th house of karma. This person will only be interested in karma that can give them a long-lasting legacy. And what is legacy nowadays? It's not writing some Updesha, becoming like Kabir and only focusing on God. Now it's about attaining the fame, doing some career and getting the fame so your name can be there, that this was the person to first do this. This is the person that changed this field forever. Okay. And now your name will be remembered for as long as they discuss these type of scenarios and things. So this is why you will see such people do not just want to be average. They're like, no, I need to bring a change in society because that's the way I'll be remembered. You will see with this, you will see with Cancer ascendant, you will see with the nakshatra of Mriksara even, because it's Soma. Chandra is Soma. 10th Lord in these nakshatras, 10th Lord in the sign of Cancer, naturally will give these tendency as well, besides just being 8th Lord. Because Chandra is about Soma. You want to be living forever. You want your work to be lived forever. This is why you'll see a lot of politicians with Cancer Lagna, because they want to change society so they can be remembered. Sometimes it could be just for their own selfish reasons, because Moon is very selfish. So Zopawan Yenobik, it's written in Russian, but speak about Guru Chandal Yoga and its real effects on house. Simple thing you got to remember about Guru Chandal Yoga, first of all, the degree effect, how far are Rahu and Jupiter from each other. Okay. First thing you can see that no matter where it is, only a foreign guru will change your life. Guru who's going to be of a complete different culture, ethnic background. Number one. Number two, birth of a girl in your family. If you have a birth of a girl, meaning you as a mother or father, will bring extraordinary riches in your life. And also, you will have to travel far away, foreign place, away from your near and dear ones, in order to find success in life. Because Jupiter is the Karka of the second house. of family. Rahu is a natural form. Your earnings and everything is going to have to come through foreign lines. Okay. So John, why is the sun considered a malefic planet when it is the source of all energy in the solar system and the karka of the soul? Yes, it is. Sun is a very important chart. I mean, it's a very important graha. Even in Parashara, it is said to look at a chart from the ascendant, moon, and sun. What the mind wants, you make moon the ascendant. And you can make brilliant predictions about a person's chart just from the moon chart. But that is not the right way to guide somebody. Because you're only showing them what the mind wants. Yes, go achieve this. Your mind wants to be an astrologer, go become an astrologer. Your mind wants to be a mathematician, go become a mathematician. Now, focus on the soul. What does the soul want? That is the way to find real mukti, the real salvation, the real liberation. So you look at, make sun as the ascendant and look at what the soul wants. Some of the things you will not even want to do, but you will see when you do the activities of certain placement from the sun, you actually find more happiness than what you did with the moon. But the reason why it's malefic, it's a hot planet. It is going to burn things. And how do you, so especially in Hindu culture, we burn the bodies after they are, when someone dies. Okay? Because it is the burning of that karma. And especially remember, fire always ascend up. You'll never see fire ascending down, no matter how, if you have a fire on a stick, you can hold it anywhere, it'll always go up. So sun says, wherever I sit from the lagna and the moon, I'm going to help you burn the maximum karmas from those placements. And you will not be liking that because it's heated. If somebody stings you with a hot, pan or a hot spoon or knife, it's gonna hurt, right? So this is why it's considered not a strong malefic, it's known as a mild malefic. But wherever sun is, that's where you will pay the maximum karma. That's where you'll have to always focus and come back to, because that is the source of who you are. Sun is the source of everything. Your source will always be towards that house. So even in like Vedic Astrology, it is said placement of the sun will actually represents the placement of your career or your dharma. So definitely sun is a mild malefic, but it's very important. And yes, it is there to, because soul is here to burn its karma. This is why it's important to look at sun nakshatra, because sun is in the sign of Libra for 30 days. So of course, there's going to be a group of people being born in that particular time period that will have quite similar karmas in life related to their sun. The nakshatra and the degrees then we can specify what is this karma specifically that is happening and what will be the result. But nobody should focus on the result. Just do that karma, because that is what you're going to have to pay off. Okay. Does Vedic astrology acknowledge it? Kazimi? I don't even know what Kazimi is. No. Vedic astrology doesn't recognize this Kazimi or Sharon or whatever these Pluto's moons are, or the outer planets even, to most of the extent. Sada Fidai. Does Mars-Mercury conjunction indicates an anxiety? Yes, it can. And anxiety, or like, people can have like panic attacks, depending upon exactly what type of a nakshatra it's in though. You see the nakshatra, but one thing, and yes, there is a remedy, but I can't just say it here because I need to see should you even be doing that remedy of Mercury or Mars or Mercury, or which one? If they're in a yudh, you have to see who is winning that planetary war. And what is that planet for your ascendant? Because you don't want to then strengthen that particular planet. Doesn't matter if it's Mars or Mercury. But Mercury is a nervous system. And Mars also represents sudden surprises. Because from the natural zodiac of Aries, Mars rules the 8th house with Scorpio. Mercury is a natural 6th lord with its Multrikon sign. Mercury is a natural significator of nervous system. Okay, so, and you will see with Mars, Mercury, well, I don't want to say it here. I'll say it in my KRS vlogs or something, or my academy. There's something very interesting, nothing negative. It's just something very interesting that you'll find all the time with Mars Mercury conjunction. Doesn't matter what house, what placement, it will always happen if they are either conjunct or trine from each other. If Mars and Mercury are trine from each other, I wish I could say it here, but I can't. The lunar duality, how can we practically apply the yoni compatibility in romantic partnership or even friends? That's very simple. Just you need to know the animals of the nakshatras, which is why the yoni is seen there. So all you have to do is, for example, an Aries individual or Ashwini individual and Satabhishak individual will be very compatible, because these are represented by the yoni of horse. You will see Uttra Bhadrapada as well as Uttra Falguni will have a very good compatibility due to cow and bull. You will see Swati and Hasta do very well together, but it's a water buffalo together. But there's a lot more complication than that. There's a lot more other things you have. You can't just rely on these one factor. Akshaya Dubey. Importance of 3rd house and 6th house in D10. Well, 3rd house will represent your courage. How much courage do you have to pursue your career and dreams? In the Dasamsha, it represents the courage you will have to pursue. And so malefic planets in the 3rd and 6th of the Dasamsha, you will see this person, no matter how many times they lose a job or how many times they will go down in a business, they'll always have the courage to come back up. 6th house is competition, the enemies, the rivalries you have at work. In a business, it also represents business debts. So again, a malefic becomes welcomed here because you will be having the strength to defeat those things. Like, for example, I'll tell you something about 6-8 relationship. Whenever you see malefic planets in a 6-8 relationship, they can actually end up giving a great result. Why? Malefics do well where? 6th, 8th, and 12th house. You'll read it in any basic books. So 6-8 relationship of malefic planets actually produces excellent results. You will see that. Let me know if you have gone through this with a 6-8 relationship of malefics. Like 6-8 relationship of malefics, here's a technique. It'll keep you busy at work. It'll keep you busy at work. When Venus in so Parth Sudhan, can you talk about Rahu Mahadasha and Venus Antradasha? Well, the simplest thing is, if you're single, you'll run into relationships. You will especially love going out partying, and especially love for like having alcohol becomes active during this time. Depending upon how the chart is, one can attain tantric siddhis during this time. You will also run into, and we can't really say this just by Venus, depending on certain signs, you will run into opposite sex of complete different culture, ethnic background. Usually you'll see that whatever antradasha you're going through and whatever person comes in your life, they will be somehow connected. Their religious or beliefs background will connected with certain planets, with that particular planet. And of course, Rahu, Venus, if they're trine from each other, trikon from each other, or if they're conjunct, brings huge wealth. Great wealth can come in. Because originally Venus rules the second house of wealth. Rahu is the original co-ruler of the 11th house with Aquarius. Both are combined. Also, one thing I forgot to say with Mars, Mercury conjunction. Wherever your Mars and Mercury are conjunct, even if they're in these particular signs, you will see sign of Gemini and Virgo becomes active. Mars, Mercury conjunction. And this is, of course, with Mahanantra Dasha, of course, all those houses becomes active. But you will see, whenever Mars and Mercury go over each other, your sign of Gemini and Virgo becomes active. Now think about it, why? Probably those who are in my academy, they'll know why. S. Please suggest gemstones for different career combinations in a chart. Very simple. Don't wear gemstones if you don't have to. Gemstones are, and especially you got to remember, 100%, 99.8% of gemstones in today's day and age are carbon treated. Forget the heat treatment. Heat treated and, you know, what is that other treatment? But they're carbon treated and silicone treated as well. What happens when a gem is carbon treated? Its internal structure, that specific structure that represented by, let's say, ruby, it's completely gone. That is now simply a jewelry on your finger or on your necklace or on your wrist. That is doing nothing but just enhancing your ability to get some comment somewhere. Oh, it's a beautiful ring. But if you think it's doing something, no. You have to be going to the specific source. This is why actually even lab-made stones do much better than even original, because you will not find original unless you actually go to the actual mine and get the mine stone and have a jeweler make it for you, cutting it for you without any treatment at all. But lab-made actually have that specific structure, number one, which is because that's why they're making that. It is that structure and it's flawless. Doesn't have any cracks in it, doesn't have anything in it. So buying gemstones in this day and age is not doing anything because you're not finding the correct stones. Okay? This took me a long while to even find it. I'm not going to say where I got it from. Because again, I don't want to promote anything. I don't want to market anything. Nothing. So don't worry about your career combinations and gems. It's better to actually focus on other simple remedies, Vastu remedies to enhance career. And remember what I said a while back. What did I say a while back? I don't even know what I said a while back. Remember what I said about the door opening and the kitchen within the home are very, very important for your success. And bathroom will show either something is being wasted or not, because bathroom has this energy, or not bathroom, toilet. Toilet has this energy of taking something away, wasting something away, right? But that's a secondary thing. Those things are very easy and simple to deal with. Main thing is the kitchen, the fire, and the door. Which direction is the cosmic energy coming in inside the home? Huh? How's... Oh, okay, I see. Oh, I would love to answer this one. I can't. All the planets via conjunction, aspects, and parivartan yoga. This is Ankit. So wait, you have a Capricorn ascendant with Saturn in conjunction with all the planets. Were you born in 1962? This is Aniksha Pandey. Does that indicate a strong ascendant? Well, depends. Who's this astrologer I brought on my YouTube channel? Oh my God, I forgot his name. He had pretty much all the planets. He was 1962 born. He was an astrologer. Very intelligent person. But yes, I mean, depends upon, I don't know. I think it's a sign of Taurus that every planet was conjunct. Very specific thing. But again, you'll find so many people born in that particular day, time, week, when all those were conjunct. That doesn't mean everybody's strong or successful. You just really have to look at the chart first. And the timing of when you're looking at a chart. Do you know when you look at a chart of somebody, look at also the Prashna chart. Let's say somebody comes to you for wanting to know if they will attain land and real estate, okay, or vehicle. And let's say they have a really bad 4th house and Venus. That means they can get, you can see that it's going to be very difficult for this person to attain those things. But then when you're looking at the Prashna, while you're doing the reading, if the 4th house shows extremely strong position, Venus is there beautifully with aspect of Jupiter. Okay, and pretty much the 4th house is strong. What is it showing is that from the time they were born, they have done such great karmas that now they have rectified their own 4th house for them to attain a property. So then you can see that, yes, you will get a property. And then the Prashna or the birth chart can show, but also the Prashna will show who will be helping them get a property. Will it be the spouse, the father, the sibling? So if you see that, you can say, yes, you'll get a property. You should get your sibling or father-in-law. You'll get the property. So this is why it's important to always do good karmas, because they are changing that current cycle of your houses. Rusha ACP. I wonder if there's a way to see someone's last reincarnation. I'm like, reincarnation, everybody's reincarnated. Yes, there are ways, but what do we know? See, there are ways, and we can tell you, but how can you prove it to me, or can I prove it to you? This is it. Until you die, only then we can see. You'll know the truth. Otherwise, these type of things, what I was doing in past life? Fine, we'll look at the 9th house. We'll look at displacement from the moon or sun. Okay, well, this is what you were doing. How can we prove this? We can't. We can get an essence that, maybe you love doing this or like this. Okay, yes. Then you can prove that, okay, this person will enjoy this or like this. So now you have proven that, yeah, this is coming from the past. But these things, it's hard to just put 100%, proof on those things. Whoa, you're asking a lot of questions. What is the most misunderstood graha in Vedic astrology? Oh, that's Saturn. Saturn and Mercury are the most misunderstood grahas. Because they'll think Saturn is the most malefic and people will think Mercury is the most benefic. Or is benefic, just because it's a natural benefic planet and it gets the second highest Sarvashtak Varga points, the accumulated points. But you'll be surprised with Mercury. With Mercury, you'll be surprised. And I've already done enough work for Saturn. The only last thing is to make that movie, Walking with Saturn. So, whenever I have enough accumulation of funds, I will make that movie. In order for me to make that Saturn movie, to give my homage and respect to Saturn, boy, it's going to require, I'm telling you, if you want exactly my vision to come out, it's going to require $70,000 to $80,000 on that movie, which for a movie is nothing. That's like a daily budget for a Bollywood or Hollywood movie for food. They'll spend $80,000 to serving the crew and cast members for food, and here I'm saying that I'm gonna need $60,000 to $70,000 minimum, or $80,000 to make my movie Walking with Saturn. So I'm holding off on it, and I know Saturn's gonna make me wait a long time to make this movie. It's Saturn. I have the idea. I already have that script almost ready, although I keep changing because I'm like, am I gonna be able to have these funds? So yeah, when you join my academy, when you join KRS Vlogs, that is what I keep taking out every week or month for my Saturn budget. So if I get it in the next year or 2 years, then yeah, you'll get exactly what I want to present. But if not, then you'll probably just get some washed up version, but still you'll get it, but it's not going to be up to par. Nikita, yes, this is actually an important thing. Due to some reason, some of us can't use our original date of birth in our documents. Could you please tell us what role other date of birth, the fake one, plays in our life? It plays a big important role because now it's on all the legal documents. What is legal documents? Well, documents is Mercury, name, right? But legal side becomes Saturn and Jupiter, your 9th and 10th lord of Bhagya and Karma. You will see with the fake dates of birth, there'll be a lot of confusion in a person's goals in life. Should I be doing this or that? Because now it has been presented to the 10th house. It has been presented to Shani and Surya, which is the soul. Surya is the government, right? And Mercury is the Karka of the 10th. Saturn rules the original 10th house. Jupiter is the law. So these 3 planets, Mercury, Sun, and Jupiter, will show their effects of both. Yes, your birth chart will have certain karmas playing out, but I'm talking about that mental confusion then that comes into, because now that becomes your new birth chart. That also becomes your new birth chart. It's kind of like how when you enter a Swami order, you sacrifice, your name dies, your date of birth, everything dies in the sacrificial fire. Because now you're no longer that person anymore. You're no longer Mukunda, you're now Yogananda. And then at one point, you're no longer Yogananda, you're Paramahansa Yogananda. So even that part of your monkhood also dies, and you are given a new thing. This is why name change, fake date of birth, yes, these will have effects. Oh my God. Pigita, Miss Piggy. Wow, that's way too generous. Please don't. I mean, I don't want to be feeling obligated to answer questions, but that's very, very generous. My goodness. Well, I'll add that to my Saturn movie fund. Oh my God, I so want to share the opening of the movie, Walking with Saturn. I don't know if I should. It is, that's what I love. I want to make movies on all planets. Every script is actually here in my head. How I'm going to start a certain planetary story and how I'm going to end it. It's already here. Just need that freedom and that funds to make it happen. Because especially for Saturn movie, I'm going to have to go to Colorado. And I'll have to go to like the Mojave Desert. Because there's going to be certain scenes that I need to shoot that I cannot, and I don't want to do it on green screen. There's no fun in filmmaking in those type of scenarios. I want to be in live locations. So can't compromise. Oh, beautiful question. Ashwini born. I guess you're Ashwini born. I'm born night. I'm a night born. Both my Saturn and Sun are in their own sign. 7th house from each other. Huh? Oh, okay. 7th house from each other. What can you tell me about my father? Well, if you want to know which one is stronger, look at the placement of these planets in the Navamsha. But it shows that one will be dedicated to their father. Depending upon the ascendant dedicated to the father, father will be in administration or even can go into construction. Father will do very well with administration related type work. And the other thing you will also see with Sun and Saturn is that after your birth, father's title changed. Fathers received a promotion. This is not a bad combination at all. Depending upon the Lagna though, that will change. Okay, but just Sun and Saturn together. And again, I'm not going to tell you everything because there's a lot of other things that we see with Sun and Saturn happening. Okay, which people don't need to know on YouTube. But especially with Sun and Saturn, you will also see, again, depending upon the ascendant, your father may have some kind of like a mole or birthmark on the particular house where Sun is placed. So if Sun is in the, let's say, 3rd house in Leo, your Gemini ascendant, father will have some mark here on the shoulder. It's kind of, and you know what kind of a mark it will be? It'll look like a burnt mark. It'll look like a burnt mark because naturally the soul is there, the Sun is there. Saturn represents the sunspot. Sunspots are Saturn. Saturn is black, right? It represents a spot upon the Sun. So sometimes a birthmark will show like, oh, did you get burnt? Oh no, it's my birthmark. So those things will be there. And also after the birth of you, father either had the hairline receding or had gray hairs coming within 7 years after your birth. Let's see here. Okay. Negative nature of such. Yeah, this is something I would love to discuss in KRS vlogs about the negative implication of Mercury and Mars doing damage in a marriage chart. And like I said in my Navamsha video with Ketu, doing something. Yeah, this is I don't know if I've even discussed this. I have, I think, somewhere, but yeah, it's something I cannot discuss here. Well, okay. You're a past life spiritual siddha or siddhi, silence of life. Aries ascendant, Saturn, Ketu in the 12th, Moon, Rahu in the 6th. I'm worried. Why are you worried? This is actually excellent placement of a yogini. This is one of the yogas of a female tantric ascetic or female guru, including when the ascendant lord is in the 8th, Malefic in the 7th, any planet in the 9th in a female's chart. A female has natural powers. Same thing. Forget Aries ascendant. Saturn, Ketu in the 12th, Moon, Rahu in the 6th. When you start to go towards spiritual tantric siddhi for a positive side, you will see, I mean, your entire life changes. You're here to help people. So first of all, you're here to help society. You're here to heal people. That is your big karma. That is your pending karma. This is your one big pending karma. You need to go into spiritual siddhis through which you're going to be healing people. Even if you just guide people through your wisdom, that itself is becoming part of the pending karma. Ashish Shrestha, can we use signs and synchronicity for manifestation? I don't know what that means. Signs and synchronicity. Well, I mean, look, if you look at it, there's signs everywhere, right? Like this is something I spoke about on my Instagram. I made a video on my Instagram maybe 2 months ago. I made it at 2 a.m. in the morning when I was researching on logos of top companies and what is the reason behind their success. Remember, logo making, if you just think is randomly being done by some artist to give to the board and the CEO, now this is where you'll seriously mistake. Logo making has a lot of astro magic in it. For example, I myself designed the logo of Magha Vedic Astrology Academy and including this KRSchannel. Of course, there's astrological reason behind it. And of course, that logo has made my academy very, very successful. There is, again, all the houses, nakshatra, based on your ascendant, all of these things come into play. Okay. So yes, there's signs everywhere. How you use them, that's how you manifest something. So I will probably get into this is why I'm doing research. I can make a video on it, because I keep looking at it whenever I get a free time. Like why the Nike logo, why this Indian, oh my God, what is that name? My mom loves their snacks. I don't know if I should even say their name here, but their logo, because I was looking like my mom loves it, and I'm like trying to take some snacks from the kitchen, and I'm looking at it, and I realized the logo of that. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. They have this thing showing, that thing showing. So maybe it'll take about a year or two for me to do this research so I can really help other people. But yes, if you want to design a logo, that's something you should easily know if you know your birth chart and nakshatras. But I'm trying to do a research as to why certain company have this logo for this particular business. See, that's the thing, for this particular business. And why is it helping them in there? Whether it's a shoe company, whether it's a food company, whether it's a tech company. Okay, why specifically they use this? There's something much deeper. that I can immaturely just talk about it right now. That's how you manifest, actually. That's how you manifest. Can you talk about the dasha that activates 3, 6, 8, 11? What does that mean? 3, 6, 8, 11. Oh, you mean I think you're talking about KP astrology. Like 3, 6, 8, or 12 combinations will do something. Or are you talking about house rulership? See, it doesn't matter if it's 3, 6, 8, 11. Everything has Trimurti. Each planet, each zodiac sign will have the qualities of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Right? Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Third house will give you that. Fifth house will give you that. Sixth, eighth, and 12th will give you that. And you will attain those particular qualities during a dasha. This is why we tend to use Tribhagi dasha. Tribhagi. Okay. But I don't know, your question was like not in detail, so I don't know exactly what you're wanting to do. I think I answered this for Akrita Nayak. Could you please talk more about Venus Rahu conjunction in the 12th house? First of all, love for pet pleasures, love for foreign travels, love for luxury foods, love for luxury foods. And again, if you go towards learning some siddhis, this helps the most. Venus Rahu will actually bring a spouse in foreign lands, regardless of your birth chart. Venus Rahu brings immense wealth through foreign sources and spiritual sources. Foreign sources or spiritual sources. Okay. It also shows a lot about the lineage as well. But I don't think you mentioned the sign. Yeah, you didn't mention the sign. We could have even seen a lot about your lineage, your paternal lineage. Like, for example, if you have Venus, Rahu in the 12th house, if you ever find that, for let's say Sagittarius ascendant, somebody in your paternal lineage was an astrologer. And you would actually get to know about them. If Venus and Mercury go into Ardra Nakshatra or Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra, you're destined to encounter a Nath Yogi, Nath Sampradaya in this life, who will be pretty much bringing you all kinds of spiritual development. And usually you will find with Ardra or Purva Bhadrapada, including even Swati, people will love Sai Baba. Sai Baba was a Nath Yogi. Sai Nath, Nath Sampradaya. And some of the experiences of Sai Baba are otherworldly. Like, he had to go to Nagyo Loka for 3 days. So people thought he was dead, but actually no. He took his soul, went to Nagloka to resolve some issue in that particular planet, and then came back. Which is the quality of Swati and Ardra, otherworldly. Okay, so you can see this. There's a lot of things we can say with Venus Rahu. I can just give you a reading just on your Venus Rahu conjunction in the 12th house. But again, do I want to take on that karma? No, I don't. No, thank you. Just one thing I will say, if Venus and Rahu are in earth sign, especially in the 12th house, this balance your sweet intakes. There can be obsession towards sweet intakes. Because remember, Venus is the natural second lord of food and intake. Swatika Sengupta, please enlighten us about Vargothama Atmakarka. Well, I mean, your mission in life is very strong. Your mission in life does not change. Your mission in life will manifest exactly the way it is happening from the beginning. And it's a very strong placement. The Atma, depending upon who the Atmakarka is, being Vargottama will show that a person is completely focused on paying off their karma and this one specific karma. It's a very strong position. You will see Vargottama Atmakarka, either spiritual leaders or political government workers. They gain through the king. Why? Because Atmakarka is the first, number one position, right? Then comes Amatya Karka and Bhatri Karka and Ghatani Karka and Dhara Karka and all of that. Atma is the one, which means it represents sun. It represents a leader. And you will see Vargottama Atmakarka, they will find great support through people in powerful positions. Powerful positions. Or not only Vargottama, if Atmakarka is strong in Navamsha. They'll make connection with powerful people that will come to their help or rescue during their time. Oh, no. We can't do that. No. I can't even say that here. Okay, so please make a video on Mars in 11th house for Pisces ascendant. Well, yeah, of course I'll make a video on that. You will see your father will gain property from his younger brother. Mars being in the 11th in Capricorn. And of course, it also shows elder sibling will marry somebody only of their own choice and not the choice of the parents, which can cause issues during that time period. But it's a very strong placement for, attaining great positions, higher valor, especially during Mars Dasha. But and it's a good thing with Mars being in the 11th versus other planets, because Mars is not, so absent-minded about its goals and desires, because 11th house is desires. Sometimes when you have too many desires, you can go into depression because not every desire comes true. And this is why planets in the 11th house, too much of them, a person has to be careful and change their mindset, because they want so many things to become active and be accomplished, they can. Mars here becomes very focused and determined towards attaining their goals, especially related to technical education, related to fighting the enemy of the father. And especially with the Mars in the Lagna, it shows your elder sibling will be very much into sculpting their body. Even father at one point could have been sculpting their body. They could be wrestlers. Do you know my father and my grandfather were wrestlers? Growing up, my father was a wrestler. My grandfather, they were champions of wrestling. Automatically at the age of like 12 to 11, I remember in India on our black and white TV, the first thing that I saw was Bret the Hitman Hart on the TV, and I fell in love with that, just his entrance and everything, and I became obsessed madly obsessed with wrestling till like, I think 1999 or till 2000. After that, then I grew out of it. After 2000, 2001, didn't care much about it. But yeah, the lineage shows a whole lot. So Venus in Maga Nakshatra for a male chart. Simple, your wife will want to be in a regal position. Your wife is going to want you to be in a position where you can provide her with all the luxuries, with all the things in life. It's that simple. And especially if you just, let's say, look at pending karma of Venus here. Okay. You are to buy your spouse a property. That's why they came to you. From previous life, you owed them property. In this life, you're going to have to get them property. But of course, there's so many other things with Venus and Maga. Tiyasa Das, how does Dara Karka work in case of multiple marriages? Exactly the same way it worked in the first marriage. And just because if you think you got a first divorce, doesn't mean that second one is going to happen. Because remember, you only got a divorce when your Maha Antra Dasha was running and activating a yoga of divorce. So divorce happened. But when Dhara Karka will show the person that you're going to be with, part of the person you're going to be with. So if let's say your Dhara Karka was showing your spouse loved playing golf, you got a divorce, you will find another spouse who will also love playing golf. They may not have the negative qualities. They may have very similar qualities, but divorce may not happen because now that yoga is done, it's over with. Unless you live for, again, 120 years from that point, yeah, you will then again get a divorce. But that's not going to happen. That's a guarantee for right now, at least, until we go into a different yoga. One thing I gotta tell you, like when I'm having a cigar and I'm doing astrological readings, things just come to my brain very, very quickly. Very quickly. Yeah, how to give a tarot remedy? I don't know about that. I have no idea about tarot at all. It's very accurate though. It is scarily accurate, but I don't know what to do with the remedies of that. Dakshita Vyas. Do retrograde planets mean extra karma or is it something else? Retrograde becomes the most important karma in your particular chart. Okay. A retrograde planet shows unfinished desires of the past life that you are to accomplish in this life and you are to deal with in this life. Because of their vibrational energy, their cosmic energy is much closer to the Earth compared to other planets. But again, remember, Moon will always supersede even those retrograde planets because it is the closest, its vibration is the closest to us. But the other planets, they become then closer. They say, okay, pay attention to us too. I know you're going to pay attention to your Moon, but also pay attention to us. So give attention to what they're in, and they will always give results of the house that they're in and the house previous to themselves, especially in transit. But it's not extra karma. It shows unfinished karma. Like you're supposed to deal with it. You can't ignore it. AC If 6th house is prarabdha karma, then the 12th house is equally unchangeable. Yeah, 6th, 8th, and 12th house are your pending karmas. They're pending. They're supposed to be paid off. Every single house is unchangeable. But these are unchangeable because the other houses you can change with the karma. Like I was giving an example of real estate and property. How one chart would not show that, but then during the prashna, it will show that because their current karmas have done that. But prarabdha, if it shows that you're going to have to pay for medicine for your guru, it is going to make you do that. It does make you do that. You're going to have a fight with your father. Or, for example, you have great love, great attachment to your father, but prarabdha karma shows that you will not be there at the last rites of the father. You'll be in foreign place. That is something that's going to happen. Can you alter it? Yes, by doing certain things, activating it. You can pay that particular karma off with something else, but those things will occur. Dream SMP, what is a combination for sports as a career? Mars, Mercury, and Venus impact on each other in the third house from the ascendant or the moon, especially the moon. What difference between intuition? Okay, that's... Wait. Let me understand what you're saying here. Oh my God. Uh-oh. Did I miss my appointment? Oh, good. Oh, guys, I gotta go. I got my appointment, my massage appointment. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.